What's happening, guys? It's your boy TC back with another video. So as explained in the previous video, due to time constraints, you will certainly see a limited amount of content coming out on this particular channel, but hopefully in due course we will certainly try and increase the volume of content that we will certainly be creating. But for now, we'll sort of keep the certain momentum that we do have now. That is to bring you match reviews and previews and bits and bobs of news really coming out from the team. But in this video today, we'll be discussing the Crystal Palace game, and that will be a review for the game as well as a quick preview in regards to the game that's on tonight, and that will be against Blackpool. So let's start with the Crystal Palace game. So of course, our winning run came to an abrupt end, and essentially we couldn't make it 12 wins in a row. Eventually we ended up drawing with Crystal Palace on a 2-2 score, and I believe that's a game we should have won personally. Of course, as mentioned in the preview, that Crystal Palace is one of those bogey teams that we do tend to get in the Premier League, and things don't certainly go our way when we do face Palace. So of course, on the day we went 1-0 down, and that was courtesy to a penalty that was conceded by Mustafi. It was a rash challenge in the box, and of course Crystal Palace managed to tuck the penalty away, so they ended up going into the first half, or into the second half, with the lead at 1-0. But prior to that, we looked out of shape, we looked out of form, and Lacazette wasn't really having a good game whatsoever, and we didn't have huge chunks of possession. We just didn't look like we were going to win that game. So of course, as mentioned, we went 1-0 down through a courtesy of a penalty from Crystal Palace conceded by Mustafi. We came back out and we obviously equalised through a fantastic free kick from Granit Xhaka, who we will be discussing shortly. However, he scored a brilliant free kick. The angle was very narrow. The distance was really not too close. Really, you wouldn't consider, or you wouldn't even think of him actually scoring from that particular point. You'd also expect him to cross the ball into the box, but of course, he ended up going for goal. I don't know if that was on purpose, but it turned out to be a great free kick, and he obviously ran to his manager and he celebrated with his manager, etc. Fantastic free kick to get us back on equal terms with Crystal Palace on the day. And then of course we ended up taking the league courtesy of Aubameyang, who just come on, and again the ball just crossed the line, just about crossed the line. It weren't even more than a centimetre, really. It was essentially just creeping over the line. So with Aubameyang, he's now been involved in 22 goals in 23 Premier League games. He does have the highest scoring ratio per minute really in the Premier League. So he's averaging a goal every 103 minutes, which is close to a goal every single game. And it's absolutely fantastic. Hopefully he can keep this momentum up and as well as improve throughout the whole season. But so far so good in terms of his return. He's been absolutely amazing. That return of a goal every 103 minutes in the Premier League is the highest ever in the Premier League's history by a player who scored 10 or more goals in the league. So it's an absolutely fantastic return. No complaints whatsoever in regards to Aubameyang, and as well as the fact that he managed to bag himself yet another goal. So of course Crystal Palace ended up getting the second goal, which was in some way a controversial goal, and it was a penalty that was given away by Granit Xhaka, who has been playing in left back in the left back position in the last 2 games. We've seen him playing as a left back. He's not a left back really, to be honest. Essentially the number of passes to Mesut Ozil as well have decreased, or did decrease, in the game against Palace in comparison to what we saw in the previous game against Leicester in the Premier League, and he's not cut out to be a left back. As a midfielder, you can get away with the tackles that he actually was putting in throughout the whole game, but as a left back you have to be a bit more tentative, you have to be a bit more careful. And we know Zaha as that player that likes to go down very easily. And of course, the inevitable happened. Zaha got the slightest of touches. Don't even believe that the touch was really that much of contact. But Zaha went flying. Granit Xhaka, of course, came out after the game and admitted that he actually touched him. But Zaha went flying. Of course, the ref and his linesmen and his assistants are going to flag for a penalty. And that was really late on in the game. He should have really tried to stay on his feet. Of course, we know Zaha is a tricky player, loves a little bit of a step over, very quick on his feet, and I don't know what Xhaka was thinking, so he's put his foot out and Zaha's gone flying. Of course, Crystal Palace scored the second penalty, and that's obviously led them to obviously equalise, and that left the score at 2-2. But I don't believe if we hadn't conceded those two penalties, of course, it's a fact that the score would have most likely been 2-0. But it's a little bit of care in defence. And in defence, really, we need to tighten up a little bit. Up top, I have no concerns whatsoever. We are scoring freely. And I think we're the second highest scoring team in the Premier League after Man City. So there's plenty of goals in the team. We've been absolutely fantastic going forward. And I have no doubts whatsoever going forwards. It's just the defence that we need to tighten up a little bit. However, the positive is we didn't lose the game, as well as the fact that we've gone 12 games unbeaten, and essentially this is a run of form that we need to keep going, and hopefully we can find ourselves in a very decent position after Christmas. So of course at the moment we lie in 4th, and that's 4 points behind the leaders, which are Man City and Liverpool, and essentially above us is Chelsea. But we are still in the top 4, and we are certainly clinging on. Of course, the result against Man City and Tottenham helped during the week on Monday, so we still find ourselves in the top 4. But as I said, the positive to take away from that Palace game was we did not lose the game. So the next fixture in the Premier League will be against Liverpool on the 3rd of November, and that's going to be an extremely difficult game, I'm not going to lie. If we can come away with a point from that particular game, I'll certainly be happy. I'll be extremely happy if we can take a point away. But the ultimate aim and the ultimate goal would be to go out and get the 3 points. But a point from a team that's at the top of the league and a team that's absolutely amazing going forward in terms of their attack, etc. That will be a very good result in my opinion, and that will certainly aid our challenge in the push for the top 4. So the next game that we will be discussing will be the preview against Blackpool. So we do face Blackpool in the last 16 of the Carabao Cup. The last time we faced Blackpool was back in 2011, and again that was a 3-1 victory back at their place, so we played away. And prior to that we had beaten them at home at the Emirates, and Blackpool found themselves in this position by beating QPR in the last round of the Carabao Cup. Of course, we know that we beat Brentford last time out 3-1. Again, a quite a difficult game, I should say. But we all do remember Blackpool from their time in the Premier League, and they rose to glory really during that time, but they've fallen to grace. Now they find themselves in League One with a terrible owner. Their fans have been boycotting games since 2015, so it's not looking good whatsoever. They've got a 1,300 as a ticket allocation for their away fans for the game tonight. So supposedly that's not going to be filled up according to reports that have surfaced this morning, and it doesn't look good for them, which in turn means I'm expecting a win from this particular game. Unai Emery has come out and he's suggested that there will be mass changes within the team itself. Of course, we do have a couple of injury issues that we will certainly be discussing shortly, but I'm expecting a win from this game, and we may see some of the fringe players making an appearance tonight, and we'll be discussing the predicted 11 shortly. So the last time Blackpool really beat Arsenal was in 1970, and that's a very, very long time ago, and I'm guessing that they're coming to Arsenal, not expecting a win whatsoever. They've got to this point really in the cup competition, which is a fantastic point for them to get as a League One club. But I'm expecting Arsenal to progress into the next round. And essentially, Unai Emery has actually declared the importance of this particular cup. It does seem as if he's a person that likes cup competitions. So he has certainly expressed his importance of this particular cup to the club. So let's talk about a predicted starting 11. He has also mentioned that Petr Cech will be starting the game, and this will be his first appearance since his injury and since that international break. Since then, we have seen Bernd Leno settle in as the #1 goalkeeper at the club, and he definitely hasn't disappointed in my opinion. He's been absolutely fantastic the times that we have seen him in the league. He's made fantastic saves, and I do believe going forward he will certainly be the #1 goalkeeper. At right back, I'm expecting Lichtsteiner to continue in that position, purely because Hector Bellerin picked up a little muscle niggle during the Crystal Palace game, so Lichtsteiner should certainly continue in that role. Mustafi and Holding, again, most likely will be continuing. At left back, the two left backs are certainly a doubt, Nacho Monreal and Kolasinac. It's very, very bad that we've been hit by an injury or by injuries for the two left backs that we have in the squad. Most likely, we may see Ainsley Maitland-Niles make his return to the first team. He suffered a terrible injury at the start of the season, but he had been playing in left back, so hopefully we can see him make an appearance again this season in that position. If not, the manager will certainly have to make an ad hoc change, which will most likely be Xhaka again. But I do believe Maitland-Niles is in contention to start this game. In the middle of the park, I'm guessing it will be Elneny and Guendouzi. Up top, we may see Iwobi return really, as well as Emile Smith-Rowe. Danny Welbeck and Mkhitaryan will complete the attacking force up top. So as I said, expecting a W from this game. It is going to be an easy game, really, I should say. And hopefully we can march on in the Carabao Cup and move on into the next round. A lot of people don't consider this an important cup competition. Yes, I get that. It doesn't hold a lot of value, but I like any trophy. As long as the club is winning a trophy, I don't mind. Personally, a cup is a cup and a win is a win. So hopefully we can march on in this cup. But as usual, guys, please do let me know what you think in the comments below. If you're watching this video and you're not subscribed to the channel, please do make sure that you do hit that subscribe button. So once again, guys, it's your boy TC from I'm Gonna Talk TV. And I'm out.